Happy Thursday. Hey, it's Friday. Happy Friday. I'm a day late because I can't say no. And I was offered 3 comic picks of the week this week from John at Coliseum of Comics on Park Street. Go tell them I said hi, buy comics from them. They're gonna help you find something that you should be reading. Anyway, he offered me 3 comics and how could I turn them down? One of them was a little long, so I gave myself some extra time to finish them. I hope that you forgive me. Please forgive me. So with that being said, let's talk. I bit the inside of my mouth. With that being said, let's talk comics. Alright, let's start with DC this week. We haven't heard too much from them here on this little comic review thing. But Justice League Dark, I'll read anything with Zatanna Zatara in it because I like her. I think she's really interesting. She was like my hero in the Batman animated series, so whatever. She's cool in this one. She's a little grumpy in this one. Anyway, so this comic has to do with Wonder Woman is trying to get together some sort of Justice League, and Zatanna's like, probably not, but thanks. Anyway, Zatanna ends up finding out that something's going on with magic. She runs into John Constantine, he's a jerk. And they kind of rehash their whole situation where he kind of used her and then made it so her dad had to go somewhere magically and then he burst into flames. But don't worry, he comes back for a second because when you're magic, you can do that. It's fine. It's fine. Anyway, Z ends up coming around, but here's the thing that I wasn't super into. Wonder Woman, you're really cool. I'm wearing Wonder Woman kicks right now. Insert cell phone video. Right, so Wonder Woman, you're super cool. I love you, your goodness and your truth, and we can always look to you for being true north. You're the mom of the group. I relate. I've got snacks and Capri Suns in my purse. Y'all need anything? I gotcha. Band-Aids. Anyway, I think it's kind of ridiculous. There's a scene where Wonder Woman is talking with Bobo, the talking chimp, who's awesome, by the way. And they're in a bar and they're kind of chatting and she's like, listen, I've seen stuff and I know what's going on in the magical community. Like, girl, do you think that you can hang out with Z and John Constantine and Jason Blood and Nightmare Nurse, like Swamp Thing? Like, I just kind of feel like you can't hang with those people, you know what I mean? Like, lasso of truth aside, are you doing like seances? Are you exorcising demons? Like, I'm gonna need you to sit down, Wonder Woman. This is kind of one thing that is maybe beyond you a little bit. Sorry, girl. All the respect and love. This is pretty interesting. I haven't personally read anything with Z in it in a while, and I thought that this was an interesting take on her. I think she always has some of the best storylines because her storylines are a little darker. What goes on in the magical portion of DC is always a little darker than like Lasso of Truth, you know, Island of Amazon Women, and Batman, I'm so scorned and my parents are dead. Like, don't get me wrong, some of the storylines are darker, but this is like, I mean, come on, like Jason Blood. Are you gonna mess with a guy named Jason Blood? Like, give me a break. Anyway, I'm always interested in a little bit of a darker storyline because I'm a weirdo like that, so if you're interested in that kind of stuff, I picked this one up. Justice League Dark #1 came out Wednesday. It's Friday today. I don't, you guys, I'm all messed up. Anyway, Justice League Dark #1 came out on Wednesday. It's pretty good. Also, come on, I love an empowered female lead. You've got Wonder Woman, you've got Z, and who doesn't want to read about a Swamp Thing? It's pretty interesting. I was into it. I'm not like a huge Justice League fan. I would say I'm more in the Marvel fandom just from growing up and reading that stuff. But this was great. Yeah, keep reading it. Alright, next is Mr. and Miss, and that is Gambit and Rogue. As much as I talk about loving mutants, because if you didn't get the memo, I love mutants, I can't say it enough. I don't care about Rogue and Gambit. I don't care about their gross swamp love. I think that Gambit's speaking accent is annoyingly written usually, and he just irritates me. He irritated me in the cartoon as a kid. He's always irritated me in basically any comic he's ever appeared in, and I just, God, I don't, like, ooh, both of these characters, they're from the South, like, let's put them together, like, ooh, swamp love, like, I just, whatever. Take a shot every time I say swamp love, just kidding. Drink responsibly. Over the age of 21. This is coming off of the wedding of Peter and Kitty, which didn't happen if you're in the fandom or you're on the internet and you Google Kitty Pryde anytime. People were screaming because they did not want Kitty Pryde to get married to Peter. Well, it didn't happen. These nerds took over the wedding, and like any wedding, there was some family drama. Mystique shows up. If you didn't know, Mystique adopted Rogue as a kid, so like she's kind of her mom, but also Mystique is sometimes not, you know, sometimes she's the worst. Like, is there a nice way to say that? I don't really think so. But anyway, you know, so they have this weird and what I feel is strained dialogue. Rogue is like, promise not to turn into me and seduce my soon-to-be husband. Promise not to do all these terrible things. Well, you can attend my wedding. Don't worry, just turn into somebody else since nobody likes you. It's just like, if you're not that cool with your mom, she doesn't necessarily need to be at your wedding. You know. Mutants are about like chosen family. It's not that big of a deal. I just thought it was kind of weird. I guess it's nice. Wedding stuff. I don't know. I'm not like a huge wedding person. They fill me with dread. I usually work them. I like to photograph them. That's about the only way I can tolerate them. Sorry to any of my friends whose weddings I have attended recently. But then they get called out to some super secret mission, and the best part of this comic was the last page. Like, hey, what's up, Deadpool? What are you doing? I need to know why. I don't care about Rogue and Gambit, but you throw in Deadpool, and I'm a little curious now. I'm not even like a huge Deadpool fan. I just think it's interesting to like put those two things together. I mean, it happens a lot. He messes around with the mutants a lot and stuff, as you guys know. But I just thought it was pretty funny. If you hear children screaming, it's because they're out at the pool where they're not supposed to be, because this is an adults-only pool. I'm 80 and I care about stuff like that. Children having fun. And the last comic comes from, sorry, my ear's a little itchy. I had to have my ears flushed out this week. That was super gross. It's probably oversharing. It's fine. And the last one comes from Image Comics. This will be our indie pick of the week. It's called The New World, and it is an interesting look at what would happen if there was another sort of extreme war and territories were broken up. North America appears to be broken up into like 3 or 4 different sections, and somehow American Gladiator, that weird show with the people in leotards, still exists. Kinda. So Stella, our female protagonist, she is basically one of those gladiators, and she goes around and she hunts criminals. She's part of a show, and there's a few of them. And basically it's like a popularity contest, but also trying to make sure that you're hunting down criminals. She doesn't murder people on television, so apparently she's not the favorite one. And that to me is so on the nose. Honestly, I feel like people in the future would only care about it if there's blood and gore. I feel like we're kind of that way. Anyway, you see Stella as this gladiator. She chases down a bad guy. She makes the ethical decision not to kill them. The only problem is that she's the granddaughter of a dude who looks like he's straight out of the Hunger Games. And if I die on camera, you guys write something nice about me. So he says that she needs to start basically killing people on camera to become the most popular. She's kind of not into it, whatever. She goes home, she's living her life, she goes out to a party, she meets a guy, she doesn't know the guy's name, she hooks up with him. Come to find out, this guy, his name is Kirby, he broke into the show under false pretenses, hacked it, and put an anti-government message up, and they met, he's on the run, and they figure out who he is, and people are surveilling Stella, and they see her hook up with him, and they're like, oh no. So they make it so that she has to hunt him the next day for the show. What's gonna happen? I don't know, but I think this comic is really interesting because we have seen so many storylines, post-apocalyptic, in the future, after war, blah blah blah. And this comic is so succinct in the way that it lets you know what the storyline is, what's going on with the world, and yet you still have questions, but not so many questions that you can't jump into their sort of lore or whatever you want to call it. I really liked it. I thought it was really good, and I can't say enough about the art. It is so bold and the colors are so bright, and it was marketed to me as trippy AF, and that is not incorrect. So if you're looking for something new to read, I would definitely suggest The New World. It's so cool to read indie comics. I know Image Comics is a big comic maker, but they're not DC and they're not Marvel. So if you're looking for something new to read, pick up something from there. And John and Amber at Coliseum of Comics on Park Street can help you find something that you should be reading. There are tons of stories out there with beautifully illustrated art, and they don't just have comics, they also have anime, and they have board games, they have card games, and they have old comics, they have new comics, so let them help you out. They're really nice, and they pick these comics for me every week. So thanks to them, and thanks to you guys. These have been my comic picks of the week, and I will hopefully see you again next week on Thursday, maybe Friday. Listen, I'm only one gal, okay? Thanks. Got a zip though. You know what? This is real talk, guys.
Oh, okay.